All right, Jeskai Phoenix. It's got some parallels to some of the other Phoenix decks in the format. We've played some Electrostatic Field before. This deck's probably pretty reasonable against things like mono blue aggro because it gets to play Shock and other cheap removal spells. One thing that I'm interested to see is these copies of Absorb and Ionize seem like they might be a little bit clunky in this deck that's trying to play proactively to get Arclight Phoenix into play. But maybe with copies of things like Radical Idea and Mission Briefing, that's really not that much of an issue. But if I look at what this deck is doing, a lot of the cards in this deck are playable in other forms and standards. So the average power level of what this deck has going on in terms of raw card power is probably plenty reasonable. Let's go ahead and dive into some matches and see how they go. I'd assume the goal of playing something like Mission Briefing is because Mission Briefing is effectively one spell that counts as two for purposes of bringing your Arclight Phoenixes back into play. It's a spell that casts another spell along with it. There's a website called MTGO Wiki Price that will let you look up what bots buy various cards for. Depends on if you value your time or if you're trying to get the most value out of what you're doing. If you value your time, just sell them all to one place. Mountain Pass. Is this red aggro with a slow start or red mid range? Maybe could be one of the Chain Whirler mid range decks like red black or Jund Whirler. Ozzy Pants, thanks for the Prime support. Hope you're having a good one wherever you're at. I definitely do not miss the tediousness of interacting with the secondary market. Secondary markets kind of feel real bad. Orcish Veteran. Wandered around the abyss for a few months, and I come back to new sponsors, a new house it seems, a new overlay, and a whole lot of new viewers. What's going on? Thanks for the 9 months. Good to have you back, Veteran. Yeah, Arena's kind of been popping off. It's kind of crazy. We're like an all grown up application. They have Drakes with a bad draw. Yeah, I guess I could have just absorbed that. Yeah, I'm probably just supposed to absorb that rather than spend 2 spells here. See, I don't think so, Danon. I think this deck is looking to be a little bit more mid-rangey and controlling and not just be, like, when you push into the Electromancer range, I feel like you're just going to end up being a bad version of the deck from the PT, whereas this is looking to be a little bit more mid-range and controlling, so I think that's ideal. Please don't spell pierce me, please don't spell pierce me, please don't spell pierce me. Ding. Thanks for the $10 tip, I appreciate it. I'm in Best Buy looking at laptops. Is Bodhi good for a first-timer? Put this towards a Grixis Dragons deck or Gates in the queue. Thank you, Butterfly. I actually wouldn't recommend Bodhi for a first-time Linux goer. Something like Linux Mint or just Ubuntu 1804 would be ideal. With Bodhi, we intentionally don't go out of our way to make things easy for new people. It's like there's a lot of little extras that are missing that make things easier for new Linux users. if we live long enough to hit a couple of lands here, these Teferis are going to be great. When was the last time I did something for Bodhi? What was it? I answered a question on their support Discord last week, week before, yesterday? I don't know. I think the Mythic Invitational drama boosts your viewership. Yeah, probably. Any PR is good PR, as they say. The hardest part of getting going on Twitch is just getting people in front of you. And I feel like I do a pretty good job of presenting my thoughts while I play, so if I'm able to get people in front of me, a lot of the time they stay. I think I'm gonna mission briefing here. I'm gonna bin this, draw the mountain. We'll target the shock in our bin. Draw the mountain for the turn. Double shock this. We're getting a little bit behind on cards doing this, but Teferi's hopefully gonna pull us up by the bootstraps. Just let us claw our way back in by drawing a lot of cards. Thanks, Lord Odin. I appreciate you being here. Huh. I think I just want a Teferi down tick here. The Rekindling Phoenix looks appealing, but my opponent's only played one Lava Coil so far, and getting to Teferi tuck while they don't have Dive Down or Spell Pierce up is really ideal. Thanks, Sheva. Yeah, it's kind of hard to track direct growth on the channel, just because there's been a lot of great things that have happened for me recently between the Tempo Storm, and then we were on the front page for a few days in January, and just Arena blowing up with the new set. Lots of good stuff. Plus this up. Stream titles current.
You know what? I'm not done yet.
I could be greedy and radical idea to hit my 6th land tier, but I think I would just want to give Teferi the best possible chance of living here, which I think means playing the Rekindling Phoenix. I'm like main deck Disdainful Stroke? Quench! Wow, that's not what I'm playing around in a million years. Alright, well, poor Teferi. The good news is, like, I'm still at 27 here, so, like, we've got plenty of time to draw answers. Why are sweepers relevant, Dwyer? Sweepers aren't really relevant in this matchup. And like, we need spot removal more than we need sweepers. Thanks, Milek. And thank you for the biddies, I appreciate that. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, and I think a big part of why so many people were modern-only players for a while there is because Standard was really bad for a while there, and Standard's great again. It's still plenty reasonable even with Nexus. It probably also doesn't hurt that, like, Modern's kind of the worst it's been in a long time. I think there's a lot of factors that drove people into Standard that haven't played Standard in a while. Well, that worked out better than expected. why was Standard bad? So, before the last rotation, Standard had a lot of cards in it that didn't have a good ratio of threats to answers. So, and the threats were really concentrated all in this Teamer Energy deck and the Mono Red aggro deck, so there wasn't a lot of variety in gameplay either. I wonder if they're not on Spell Pierce.
I can move almost, not so fast.
I would highly recommend proxying a bunch of Modern decks and playing a bunch of Modern before you decide to get into playing only Modern. As someone who's played a lot of Modern for a long time, the current Modern format is, in my opinion, the worst Modern has ever been.
Let's skip to the good part.
Ionize is not a bad pickup here, but I guess it does feel a little bit bad because I can't Phoenix plus hold Ionize. Do I play Electrostatic Field and just opt this turn and let Teferi die? Oh, Teferi. Gosh, Teferi's so busted. You right, chat. Thank you. Thank you. Actually, there's a really easy way to tell if you'll like Modern. If you like playing with or against Nexus of Fate in Standard, you will love Modern. If you think Nexus of Fate is a miserable deck that creates terrible gameplay, most of Modern is Nexus of Fate decks, or playing against decks like Nexus of Fate. So, if you enjoy Nexus of Fate, you will probably like Modern. If you don't like Nexus of Fate, you probably won't. And that's fine. Like, there's plenty of people who enjoy Nexus of Fate. There's plenty of people who enjoy Modern. Like, that's fine. This is the part where I ban a bunch of people that tell me I'm wrong about Modern, and they cite all these things that aren't actual data points. It's my favorite part of the stream. Categorically false. Categorically banned. Listen, if you want to tell me I'm wrong, you gotta say why. You gotta say why. Oh. Yeah, stop. Actually, Rekindling Phoenix seems great here.
Need to move quickly.
I'm gonna play Phoenix before I play Radical Idea because they did show me Quench. Categorically. Nexus is still legal in best of 3 Standard, which is most of what we play on this format. So yeah, so for people that are newer to Magic, maybe started with Arena, Modern is, think of it similar to Hearthstone's Wild format. So Modern doesn't ever rotate, and it just gets bigger as more sets get printed, basically. This is like kind of medium against Shock, but it's like, keeps my Teferi around. Yes, that's why as more sets get printed, Modern gets more linear, more brutal, and more efficient. So, like I said, there are lots of decks very similar to Nexus that are legal in Modern and see lots of play.
Hold that thought.
Here's the thing, chat. When the people that are saying I need to prove my point when I say something about Modern, I don't. When you come into my space, I am the content expert. And if you want to say the content expert is wrong, you need to go out and do the legwork and say, this is why you are wrong. You don't come into my space and expect, you're coming here to watch me talk about Magic and play Magic. So when I post my opinions here, you're welcome to disagree with them and tell me why I'm wrong, but I don't have to spell everything out here. I'm the dictator. This is my space. So no, I don't have to follow my rules. I love when people say that, like I'm a hypocrite for not following my rules. No, you don't show up to your English class and tell your English professor, no, you're wrong, you have to prove everything you do. You don't show up to your science class and tell them they have to prove everything. You showed up there because they're the content expert and you wanted to listen to the content expert. Like, I am often wrong, but to say I have to factually prove everything I say when you're here because I'm a content expert isn't true. Turtle Wasp, thank you for the 4-month resub. I appreciate the third of the year. Welcome back. And yeah, I could take the time to prove everything I say here or explain extra detail why. But then I don't have time to actually talk about the magic. I think we're stabilizing, kind of. Like, the electrostatic fields are kind of doing their thing here. Sure, but there's a difference between asking... There's a difference between asking a question and telling someone who's a content expert at something that they're just wrong without explaining why they're wrong. There's a difference in those two things. Mission briefing shock is lethal. Is that true? It's not, right? Because mission briefing does 2 and then shock does 4 and they're at 8. So that's not true. It's too short. I'm done. I'm tired of not being abrasive. Fuck off. The gloves are off. We're done here. You know what? No matter what I do in my life, people are always going to just be like, nah, fuck Hogland, he's abrasive. So guess what? If I'm always gonna be labeled at it, sometimes I wonder why I try. And today I'm done trying. You think I'm abrasive and you don't want to watch because of it? Leave. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Should have seen that coming.
We're gonna mission briefing during. I'm excited for the Reddit thread with that clip. Ah! We were right about Hugland the whole time. He's a monster. He's terrible. We knew. We knew. I'm just so done. Yeah, you try reading Twitch chat all day. You try having people just like spend it's just. Did I just click through my attack step? I clicked totally. I'm glad I didn't need my attack step there. It's still lethal. We have a shock. Whatever. They have a counter spell, it's not lethal. Correct. A big part of why there's so many people that dislike me on Reddit is because it's like unfiltered Twitch chat, so most of them have been filtered out of my Twitch chat. There's plenty of filtering here. Alright, Niv-Mizzet sounds great in a mirror like this. Rail shoots their things. They're going to have Nivs out of their own sideboard, which Rail is very good against. I'm going to cut Deafening Clarion. What do I want to trim here? Lightning Strike is probably an okay trim as well, just because it doesn't kill a lot of their creatures. Like, it doesn't kill the drakes. The fact that there's no Lava Coils in this 75 is super wrong, and we're going to change that after this sim. Lava Coil is just a premium removal spell in this format. It's very, very good, and not playing them is a huge mistake. Thanks for the tier 1 sub, the coder. I appreciate that. Captain Hamhand, thanks for the Prime support. There's a lot of great people who can chip those Bezo bucks every single month here on Twitch. Thanks for sending them my way. I should probably put an NSFW language warning on this video. I'm gonna make a note to do that. People like to watch with their kids sometimes. Sorry to everybody who's watching at home. I'm gonna go back to watching my language because I do think that's important, because I know there's people that watch with the kids, so I'd like to apologize for that. Apologize for the swearing, not for the message. I believe in the message. The swearing was unnecessary. No, they don't demonetize for swearing on YouTube. They only demonetize for hateful things. I'm gonna keep this. Also, it's funny. The big part of people have asked me, like, it's funny that whole thing came up because we were talking about Modern. I've been way less frustrated with Magic since I stopped playing as much Modern as I was, and more specifically stopped dealing with people who really love Modern. Because it's just like when I said mean things about Legacy forever ago, right? Just like, people when you spend $1,000 buying a Modern deck, it's hard to not feel personally attacked for people when someone says Modern's not perfect or I don't like Modern. Like, that's the big issue. Like, people spend so much money on Modern, they feel like it's a part of them. YouTube's a whole mess of demonetization and other things on occasion. Yeah, I agree. I think a big part of that is too, right? Like, the stream's grown and we've been successful here, so like, people who dislike me are upset that I've built something that's here for myself. Yes, in my opinion, a majority of the matches in Modern right now feel like you're playing with or against Axis of Fate. They're incredibly lopsided matchups where one player generally doesn't have any meaningful interactions or plays. And sure, there are some matches in Modern that aren't like that, but in my opinion and experience, a lot of them are. Alright, we kind of just died here. The fact that they have Legion War Boss in post-board means that boarding my Lightning Strikes out was wrong. I wonder if I want the Clarions to clean up the Legion War Boss. I definitely want the Lightning Strikes. I kind of think I do. I think I'm just going to cut these Ionizes. I'm going to go down to 2 Absorbs. Bring all of these in. So Legacy's weird. So Legacy is actually, the gameplay isn't as combo focused as Modern, but Legacy has a very small, even though Legacy has 25 years of playable cards that are legal, the actual pool of cards that see play in Legacy tends to be very narrow because the power level of the cards that get played in Legacy is so high. So the cards that see play are so powerful, they make a majority of the things that are legal in the format unplayable, if that makes sense. So Legacy's actually pretty fair, but the cards you can pick from to play tend to be pretty narrow within that fair card pool. Is Vintage the same situation? So I don't have a ton of experience with Vintage, but in my small amount of time that I have played Vintage, so Vintage uses what's called a restricted list because it's the only place where like Mox and Lotus are legal, and Vintage games tend to feel very high variance in my experience just because the games often revolve around who draws their restricted cards and who doesn't. Slash Panties, thanks for the Twitch Prime support. Hope you're having a good one. Oh, Twitch usernames. And, like, I actually really enjoy some of the gameplay in Legacy, just like I enjoy some of the gameplay in Modern, right? Like, if I didn't like Modern, I wouldn't play it, period. But, like, pretending that, like, everything is, like, roses and, like, it's perfect and, like, the games are super interactive all the time is just silly, too. Yeah, like, Jeskai Stoneblade is probably my favorite Legacy deck at the moment. Really like that one. I think we're probably dead here. We're gonna crack this open and take a look at some of the details. I just assumed there were lava coils in our 75, and not having lava coils is definitely a big miss. Like, I think the number of 3-mana counter spells in the main is probably a little bit awkward here too. No, haven't really. I played a little bit of 1v1 Commander, but not enough to really have an opinion on it. I don't know, the Electrostatic Field seems fine. I think I want to trim some of these and play a bunch of Lava Coils before we do anything. So this is just so many sweepers. I also feel like all of this in the sideboard is too many pull-up grindy cards for control. So I'm going to cut these cards. I'm going to put this extra Clarion in the board. I think I'm going to trim. I'm actually not sure which of these two is better in this deck, because generally I'm like, Absorb is better just because you want the life gaining a lot of aggressive matchups. But honestly, the fact that, like, we have basic mountains and this deck is kind of aggressive might just make Ionize the better card here. I think not playing Lava Coil in the main is kind of a miss. I know this card isn't strictly proactive, so it can be dead in some matches, but, like, the fact that we can, like, Radical Idea to ditch it is, like, some filtering, and it's so important in so many matches. How many lands are in here? There's 19 lands in this deck. That can't be right. No, I know we have a lot of cantrips. I miss having the counts up top. So this is 12. Yeah, wow, there are 19 lands in this deck. I guess we have Opt, Revitalize, Revitalize. I feel like I want at least one more land here. You think we need more ways to discard Phoenix? I don't know if that's strictly true. Like, this deck can kind of just, like, cast Phoenix for mana and then bring it back later. Maybe Lightning Strike's a card that could go. I'm gonna put a couple Charter Courses in here. And I'm gonna put at least one more land in here. I'm gonna add a blue source, blue-red source, add a Sulfur Falls. Let's give. Oh, there are only 14 cards on my sideboard at the moment. Yeah, I think Briefing's good with the bird, and I want to leave a couple in there to give him a try. Honestly, I think Chart might just be better than some of these radical ideas. Let's split these. I'm going to split these 3-3 to start. So the low land count is because we have all these cards that draw cards that will let us see more lands. Yeah, I think 20 lands is probably plenty with all these cards that draw more cards. One of the things people often miss when they're talking about like how many lands their deck plays is that you need to factor in cards that draw cards. It's like you're going to see more lands per game. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some more games here, shall we? So I don't actually think the land count is really that bad. Like 19's a little extreme, but even going up to 20 is probably fine. This hand could be anything. Who knows? Who knows? Nobody knows. It's looking for like lands and threats at this point, right? Okay, looking for ways. Honestly, actually, if they're playing Esper, we probably just want to cast this game. Tap my island. They could be Sultai. Watergrave could technically be Sultai. Could be a lot of things. I think that's fine. I think I'm just like 4th land, cast Arclight Phoenix attack here. Absorb me, baby. I like how as soon as we put a bunch of Lava Coils in the main, we queue into Esper. Maybe Lava Coil in the main is wrong and they should just be in the 75. Definitely better in some matchups and worse in others, obviously. It's possible I'm supposed to jam Teferi here, just because Teferi's a must counter spell, and I'd prefer they don't cast Chemist's Insight this turn. They can also just have Contempt. Technically, the reason to wait is because the play that your opponent makes on their turn could impact your decision with what you want to do with the cards you see with the op.
Responsibility.
I just want to tuck this in. Lava Coil gets factored into the matchmaking algorithm. Some days it feels like that, right? You're just like, oh, I've gotten stuffed by aggro so many times. Adjust. Control, control, control. Oh, I've gotten stuffed by control. Let's adjust. Aggro, aggro, aggro. Feels bad, man.
Time. This isn't a fight you can win. You know what? I'm not
okay,
done.
That's a great draw. So there's another Phoenix in my bin here. So if we get to just cast 3 instants and sorceries this turn, we get to flip the other Phoenix back and then double attack Teferi, which would be great. Please absorb this. That's awesome for us. Hey, Draven, thanks for the 15 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. For keeping me around. So this kind of sucks, but I have to Lava Coil my Electrostatic Fields here. It gets Teferi off the table. I appreciate you asking, but yes, I am sure, Rita. Hey, D20, thanks for the biddies. Hope you're having a good one.
This is hardly my worst.
We did finally find a use for the Lava Coil. If they have Kaya's Wrath here, we're kind of out of gas. Oh, that's brutal. That is scruff, McGruff, rough. Esper, like, we played Esper the other day with the PT, the list from the second of the PT. They had 2 cries in the main. I feel like we're behind at this point, but it's also, I feel like you always further behind against Esper than you feel further behind than you actually are. Like, especially with like double Rekindling Phoenix plus Teferi here, we might actually just be fine.
Suppose that's how it was meant to happen.
I think I want to just play this. Hopefully this is just Chemister's Insight this turn. Deal.
I'm known. Hurry!
Oh, you know what? I probably should have untapped 2 blue sources there and mission briefing and opt, maybe. I guess I can mission briefing Charter Course next turn.
Let's skip to the good part.
Let's see if I get to attack first here. Let's do this. And I think I'm just gonna tuck Teferi. And like play Electrostatic Field, draw 2 here. What is in their hand? They just like flooded out here. It kind of feels like they're on nothing. Well, yeah, so the reason why mission briefing hasn't really caught on is because the body is one of the most important parts about Snapcaster Mage. Snapcaster Mage is a card that generates 2-for-1s when you play it, because the body gets left around to trade with something. So the body is super relevant on Snapcaster Mage. Thanks for the 2 months, Naldrick. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for shipping me your beta bucks again. Alright, Extra Bird sounds great here. Ral sounds wonderful. Niv sounds wonderful. Negate sounds wonderful. Revitalize is an easy cut. Lava Coil is an easy cut. Expansion Explosion is fine here. Do I want to cut the shocks? Yeah, the Charter Courses were very good there. Do I want to trim shocks? Yeah, I kind of feel like I want to leave in the shocks for their thieves. And it's fine against Teferi -3. Do I just trim Electrostatic Field? I wonder if that's the trim. Radical idea. Actually, I'm gonna trim Radical idea. I'm gonna trim these 1-1. Unholy Frog, thanks for the Prime support. Shipping your Basil bucks this way this month. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Generally speaking, game 1 especially, you get rewarded for being more linear and less interactive. which could be why I mentioned having Lava Coils in the main might be wrong. It might be that I just, like, want Lava Coils in the board for the matches where they're good, and then cut them when they're not, instead of cutting them when they're not. Opt in response to a duress means one of two things. Either your opponent is bad, or they're digging for a land drop. So I think Arclight Phoenix is still fine Goldhead as a 4-3, as a 4-mana 3-2 flyer. I think people undervalue how good that card can be as just a 3-2 flying haste for 4 that occasionally comes back. Also, most of the time, Arclight Phoenix is going to die in a matchup like this. It's going to die to the opponent, exiling it. All right, so we're going to mission briefing here to try and find a blue source. Perfect. So I'm going to bin that. We're going to draw the blue source for the turn and cast this opt. Probably losing the Ionize here. Could see losing Expansion Explosion again. Ionize doesn't surprise me. Really want to draw land here so we can stick one of these. Drawing Negate after they take the Ionize away feels pretty good. Like, obviously they want to try and resolve something, and now this means they likely can't. Listen, we can't, it's hard to be too upset here because, like, we did hit lands 2 and 3 after keeping a 1-lander, so it's like, well, I'm kind of annoyed, but, like, in the reality, when you think about what we've done here, like, this is kind of fine for us. Perfect. Let's do, I'm going to do this and lead on this Rekindling Phoenix. They don't know about either of these Niv-Mizzet, so they might burn, you know, a Vraska's Contempt on this, so then Niv-Mizzet can potentially stick around and take the game over. Also, getting the Phoenix down before we Niv-Mizzet insulates Niv-Mizzet against Eldest Reborn, which is a very annoying card. So we could see take a Niv, and then they untap Kaya's Wrath after we play the second one. We could be a little bit sad, but I think, actually, if they pass without leaving blue mana up, I probably play Ral, because Niv is guaranteed to resolve, whereas Ral can get countered. So getting Ral in while they don't have blue mana up is generally ideal. And it also plays around them going, like, untap Kaya's Wrath, make us sad. Our hands really come together well. A couple people have been asking why play this as opposed to the blue-red Drake's deck like LSV played. That's a good question. This matchup doesn't feel terrible, and LSV said this matchup was awful for his configuration. So maybe having the tools that this deck has, whether they be Teferi or Rekindling Phoenix, are like big draws. You got me. And now I'm going to Teferi this turn for the same reason I played Ral the previous turn, which is they're tapped out. So while they're tapped out, they're not able to counterspell this, and they're never going to be able to counterspell this. I don't think I'm supposed to tuck... the Reborn here. I think I'm just supposed to let this happen without a counterspell. Letting them get the Reborn back isn't really appealing. That's a counterspell, right? I have a Negate in here. Sweet. Alright, so let's plus this, and then we'll Teferi tuck the Reborn.
Ooh, let's see what we got.
And then I actually have double counterspell in a way because I can mission briefing the Negate and expansion a counterspell as well. So even if they have a land with Negate backup here, they're gonna lose. Need to get to deal some damage here. Hitting them to 16 is actually good because Ral's emblem deals damage in chunks of 4. Chart, of course, is real good. We're going to go up to 4 of those. I think I'm going to put the last Rekindling Phoenix in the main. I'm going to go ahead and put these Lava Coils in the sideboard. Trim and expansion. I'm going to leave a couple Lava Coils in the main. They are blank in some spots, but like with Chart and Radical Idea, we can ditch them. This makes us a little bit more proactive. Okay, I think I like this. I wonder if 2 Negate 2 Ionize is enough counters in the 75. This might be too many sweepers. I'm gonna put a Stroke in the sideboard. I kind of feel like I want even more counters than this, though. We definitely don't have enough counter spells to play against the Nexus of Fate decks, I don't think. We haven't played against an aggro deck yet, and Electrostatic Field is really going to shine against aggressive decks. Yeah, this many sweepers might be unnecessary. I'm not sure that we really need Settle. This deck also doesn't have a ton of instant speed interaction. Let's give this a try. So, like, when your deck doesn't have... Where did I click off of? Did I take a land out by mistake? No? I cut 2 Lava Coils, I added a Chart and a Rekindling Phoenix. Did I click off of something else? Oh, I clicked on a Teferi. I was like, I must have clicked on something by mistake. Yeah, someone, Burgle in chat, commented that we're basically Jeskai for Revitalize and Teferi at this point, which isn't completely unreasonable. A lot of the 3-color decks in this format end up being base 2 colors, splash this powerful card in a 3rd color. So one of the things I think a lot of people are missing when they're looking at this deck is people are used to seeing Arclight Phoenix as only this linear aggro card. And I think Arclight Phoenix as a card that can work in a mid-range or a control card is more than reasonable. It's a card that can block and then come back once you play a bunch of spells having blocked. So I'm going to lead on Opt here as opposed to a 2-mana cantrip because Opt gives us 2 chances to find a land here, and I'd really like to find a 3rd land. Alright, well, we'll keep Opt because that gives us another redraw. Parun appears to be playing the Gates deck, which means we just want to be as aggressive as possible here, so probably going to be popping off these spells out of my hand. Ideally, we'll draw a 4th land next turn and then be able to start curving Arclight Phoenixes out. Nuclear Meatloaf with the brand new tier 1 sub. Thank you for that. Hope you're having a good Wednesday wherever you're at. Thanks for keeping me employed here. Alright. Depends on how quickly they see Angel and how many gates they have. Like if they cast like a Circulus route here, they're just gonna have infinite mana and infinite cards. Probably can't beat them. Oh, they're Nexus of gates. Well, I'm glad we just added a bunch more counterspells to our deck. Super excited about that. Absorb. All right. Yeah, I agree. There's a good chance we're dead. If they take a turn, I'm gonna concede just for the sake of life. For those of you that are newer to Magic, we're not guaranteed dead here. Obviously, that's one of the things that makes the Nexus deck kind of frustrating to play against, but with them drawing 2 cards every time they play a gate, we are incredibly unlikely to be able to take another turn from there. So rather than sit here with 2,000 of you waiting to find out, do they hit the 1%er where they don't have it, I'm just going to concede and move along to the next game, where we get to bring in some more interaction and have a little bit better shot here. The explosion part of this card is not particularly relevant to this matchup. However, the expansion part, turning their counter into a counter back at them, could be very meaningful. Our counter spells are only way of interacting with them. Technically, Teferi can tuck their enchantments back into their deck, but we were 90-something at some point. We're not really worried about our rank on this stream. Mobzicle. I have realistic expectations, and I understand that like putting a random rank in my title isn't gonna really help us get any viewers. Playing interesting decks is more important than being a higher rank. Yeah, we went from 90 to in the percentages in a single session. Like, ranks are super volatile. How much would it cost for me to chase top 8 over the next 2 days? I would probably look for $20,000 or so to not sleep for the next 2 days, and to like make my wife have to do everything with the kids. That's the amount of money I would need to be miserable for 48 hours. Zach, thanks for the Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. And no, don't crowdfund. Don't crowdfund that. I don't want to do it. It's stupid expensive because I don't want to do it. Everyone always has a price. I'm just honest and upfront about what my prices are to do things. Yeah, we're gonna pass with Ionize up here. Hopefully tag a guild summit. Blunderbra, thanks for checking in the Twitch Prime. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for keeping me employed here. This is my bird. I'm tired of being told I'm abrasive. Fuck off. Sorry. I'm gonna stop swearing. I'm gonna make an effort. Today was the first time we've sworn on stream in a long time. I'm just sick of it. I've worked really hard for a long time to try and change certain behaviors like that, And at the end of the day, I still get crapped on by endless people. So you know what? I'm gonna get crapped on by endless people. I'm just gonna tell them to bugger off. Just very sick of it. I think I just play this and tuck this in and hope to get another turn. Because if I get to untap with Teferi, we probably can't lose the game with Ionize plus expansion up. Bugger off is the one I often use, yeah. It's much more PG friendly. I'm sure there's plenty of people that are here because I'm abrasive. You're not wrong. The reason why I'm good at what I'm doing and I'm able to get through and read so many comments and respond to so many comments is because I give short responses. I'm tired of just trying to coddle people. I'm done with it. The Quasi-Drake's deck actually ended up better than expected. I think it's a low bar, but I think we went better than expected.
You know what? I'm not done yet.
Sweet. And Teferi lets Chart a Course cast and then untap our lands here. So with all these counter spells, I think we're actually in a pretty good spot here. I do use a standing desk. Correct. I'm definitely not the best Magic player, but I have a lot of experience reading chat and responding to messages. I am moderately reasonable at it. Coddle me with a timeout. I got you. I split my time sitting and standing when I stream. So some of the time I'm sitting, some of the time I'm standing. I think I'm supposed to Ionize this. Hey, Demonic Firefly, thanks for the 8 months. I appreciate it. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. No, you may not borrow my Ionize. Would definitely bet on Jeff in a World Magic Cup for you to carry on an unrelated conversation the entire time.
We need to move quickly.
So, that's a good question. So someone asked to compare Cindervines versus, Crushing Canopy. And I agree that Crushing Canopy is just mortifying a lot of matches, which is very valuable. However, the place where Cindervines comes in is that Cindervines is very good against these Nexus of Fate decks. So Cindervines is great at pressuring their health total while they try and combo you. That's the real appeal to Cindervines. It technically destroys artifacts too, but that's less relevant to the enchantment bit, I think. What's going on, Ina? Hope you're having a good one. Is Rail better than Revitalize? Nah, the extra cantrip's probably better. Decided on playing Green-Black Elves at the Cleveland Open after I played Humans against Jeskai Control last night. To set a bar that's low, I think Elves is marginally better against Jeskai than Humans. It's still not good, but it's a little bit better than there. You know, it's funny. The fact that I'm going to tag this video with NSFW language probably means that it's going to get more views than the rest of the videos today, which is funny. They have a schedule for draft stream. So I don't do any limited on this channel. So I have a schedule on my website here, but it is just standard best of 3 as well as modern and legacy on it. As a primarily YouTube viewer, that's 100% accurate. Just cite OSHA violations every 10 minutes or so. That way you can mark every video NSFW. So, if everything's not safe for work, it loses its wonder. But I've been pretty good for a long time. So, like, the fact that I lost it a little bit earlier today when we were talking about Modern is, like, more of a rarity, which will get more clicks. We tried Beast Whisperer. I haven't. I really just don't think Beast Whisperer solves any problems that archetype has. I hope Standard Plus starts with this current format. I hope they don't back add sets because this current format's pretty reasonable. I hope it's like this format with Nexus of Fate banned would be great. Elwin, well, welcome. Thanks for dropping in today. Alright, I think I'm gonna go ahead and play the Glacial Fortress so I can negate a Guild Summit this turn, potentially. If they don't give us a Guild Summit, we'll just opt. We are digging for extra lands here so we can hopefully play the Rekindling Phoenix on curve. Yeah, I agree, Draven. The being able to reach people being able to watch while their kids are around is a big reason I did it. I was actually watching Day 9 last night, and I had to turn him off until after I put the kids to bed because he does swear a bit. Day 9 is great and wonderful, but that is a side effect of swearing. Whoa! I'm a relatively new viewer, but I really appreciate your dedication to providing structured comment, keeping your deck list accurate, uploading videos. Also, your willingness to engage with people in your chat is much appreciated. Thank you very much for that very generous amount of bits, Ben Faith. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you for the comment to go with it. Structured content, yep. I'm not necessarily the best streamer on Twitch, but I am arguably the most organized. If you don't have a specific deck you'd like to see played sometime very soon, Ben Faith, I'd encourage you to take a peek at the deck queue on my website, and I'd be happy to bump 1 or 2 things up for you for that. I always encourage the people who pay my bills to kind of dictate what we do. Seems only fair they choose what we play. Yeah, the thing that could stop them from going back as far as Origins with the new set is that they'd have to backcode everything, which could take too long. Thanks, Hype2Def. Yeah. Like I said, I made that change because it's an easy change that just makes sense. What's backcoding? They'd have to program and make animations for all those older sets. Terramander. Alright, so I think I'm supposed to opt before I... Osric, thank you for the Prime support. I appreciate it. Yeah, cash in that number too. I think I'm supposed to opt before I Lava Coil here, because if I opt into a shock, I can shock the Terramander, whereas this is a little bit more of a premium removal spell in this matchup, because it kills Drakes. Am I supposed to just chart a course here to try and dig for a different removal spell? I think I am. This is tough because it kind of cuts in both directions, because by not Lava Coiling now, I am exposing myself to things like Dive Down and Spell Pierce. But Coil is, like I said, just very important for being able to take Drakes off the table. Yeah, that's true. Blue-red does tend to mean less protection. Perfect. Look at us. That feels really good. Just getting super paid off for our decision here. This is pretty sweet for us. We get to go Revitalize at the end of their turn, untap, stick a Teferi potentially, or have Lava Coil if they play a Drake. Yeah, the stock blue-red Drakes list is about 6 1-mana protection spells. Which protection's important. If you don't use protection, you could end up with Declan. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Declan is wonderful, but it is something you need to consider. They could have it opt. Do I want to play around Spell Pierce? Do I want to play around Spell Pierce? I already have land 6 in my hand here, and I really don't have that many resources at the moment. So I think I do actually want to play around Spell Pierce. I think because I have land 6, it's worth trying to wait to get to land 7. We're not under any pressure, and we don't have a lot of gas, so running what little gas we have out there right away doesn't really make sense. Like, if we draw land 7, we're just incredibly sad that we didn't play around Spell Pierce. Now, this does get got by Dive Down, but we don't really have that many counter spells in our main deck, so the way we're going to beat something like Dive Down is just by playing through it. So, one thing that I've really changed my opinion on, Dzubbed, is that I don't think Modern needs to change. When I talk about me not loving specific play patterns in Modern, there are a lot of people who love Modern for what it is, and it's perfectly fine to just let those people enjoy Modern as it is right now. The fact that I don't like certain play patterns in Modern just means that I shouldn't play those decks. So, like, that's what I've done on stream, is I'm no longer accepting specific deck types for Modern donation decks because I just don't like the gameplay that it generates. There are plenty of people who love Modern for what it is right now, and if you don't like it, don't hope that it changes. Just go play Standard, or go play Legacy, or go play Limited, go play a different Magic format. The thing that makes Magic so awesome is the fact that it's so many different things to so many different people, and not every format of Magic has to appeal to every person. They get to fart this next turn. In general, I like to play... My favorite type of deck is what I describe as a brunch deck. And brunch stands for... I hope Matt's watching right now because he hates when I use the term brunch. Brunch stands for not quite aggro, not quite lunch. It's a deck that kind of sits in the middle, that has aggressive draws, but can also be mid-rangey when being mid-rangey is good. So the Temur Climb deck is a great example of what I would consider a brunch deck. That's why I've been playing that deck in my competitive events this season. Thanks, Viewers. I appreciate that. Worth noting, I did make a mistake here while talking. I changed my line halfway through. I was going to shock in my land and play Teferi, but then I realized my opponent was going to be able to fart their Pteramander next turn, which would then attack Teferi for 5 and kill him. So I instead opted to Lava Coil there, and then I didn't play Teferi afterwards because I didn't want to play into Spell Pierce that I've been playing around this game. I do, Mazer Mouse. I think experimenting with different ways to balance out going second would be awesome. Mardu Hero Brunch deck. I don't think Death Shadow is really a brunch deck so much as that's like an aggro tempo deck. The blue-red tempo deck is more tempo-y, so a brunch deck in my mind is a deck that, like, goes up a little bit bigger. So, like, for example, how the Temur Climb deck turns into a Krasis deck when it needs to. They don't usually play 4 Pierces, but they do usually play a non-zero amount of houses. The new mulligan rule sounds awesome. I really hope that goes over well. Maybe I'm just supposed to tuck here. It's possible I'm just supposed to tuck here. I definitely messed up and should have kept a land in my hand, maybe. So that way I could jumpstart this. One of the things that I think would be really awesome to balance out going second a little bit is if this new mulligan rule takes effect, I think it would be awesome if the person mulliganing, or the person on the draw, starts with 8 cards and then shuffles 1 back in. Or if they mulligan, they start with 8 cards and shuffle 2 back in. So it doesn't directly change the tempo like having a coin in Hearthstone does, but it would give you a higher hand quality on average, which would be nice. Yeah, if I tuck with Teferi, they could just shock him. So I'm kind of like in a medium spot regardless. Yeah, I think Red Deck wins is fine in the format. There was a copy of Red Deck in the top 8 of the Pro Tour, the Mythic Championship. It had a small green splash for Cindervines in the sideboard, but still very reasonable. Patahari, thank you very much for the brand new tier 1 sub. I appreciate that. Thanks for keeping me around. All right. I'm gonna get double spell pierced here. Get double spell pierce. That feels bad. Yeah, I think we're actually gonna lose this. Woof. Did I ever play Black White Aristocrats again? We've not played it a second time yet. It is in the deck queue, and we're gonna get to it at some point soon. I guess we could draw. We could still draw a Lava Coil next turn. We're gonna take 1 hit here. The Exile's pretty relevant. The Exile is relevant on Rekindling Phoenix, Arclight Phoenix. It's relevant to be exiling certain things in the Sultai matchup so they can't find them back. You have them start on 8 and then doesn't draw on turn 1? Yeah, that would be a reasonable one too. Just some way for their hand to be a little bit better. But yeah, honestly, the thing that excites me most about the new mulligan rule is just that Wizards is thinking about those things that kind of don't balance Magic and, like, working to improve them. So the out here is Chart a Course into double Lava Coil. So pretty unlikely. Alright, let's get to the post-board game here. So, thinking about this matchup, I think we're definitely the more controlling deck. I think in games that we're going to be winning tend to be going long. So I think as the game goes longer, our deck likely is going to be more favored. So I kind of want to restructure my deck a little bit to be more controlling, to position myself to get into a spot to win that long game. Do I just cut the Arclights in this matchup because I don't need them to be aggressive? I'm going to do this. I don't think Disdainful Stroke is good or Negate. I think I'd rather just have more spot removal spells. Let's give this a try. So, like, I'm boarding in Ral and Niv, so I think cutting these win conditions is probably fine. Arclight Phoenix doesn't, or Electrostatic Field doesn't block meaningfully in this matchup, so it seems reasonable. So, the big thing that I mentioned a couple of times, Uzu, is that this deck is not a deck, so people just saw LSV top 8 the Pro Tour, right? So what this deck is doing is, hey, congrats, Ma. The the Phoenixes in this deck are a little bit more of a defensive tool, so much as they can also be aggressive. So comparing this to LSV's deck with the Electromancers in it, this deck is definitely a worse linear deck. That's why we're playing cards like Teferi and Rekindling Phoenix to allow us to pull up and be a little bit more mid-rangey and controlling with what we're looking to do. Alright, well, this is the best of the ones we looked at so far. I think I'm gonna bottom that. I think I'm just looking. I don't really want to discard either of my planeswalkers here, and I just want to like draw lands and lava coils, I think. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about sideboarding recently, talk about we're the more controlling or more aggressive deck and sideboarding around that decision. What do you think sideboarding as a combo deck should be based around, so combo decks don't usually have a role? So, in standard, that's definitely very true. In general, the combo decks are just trying to race a lot of the time, but I guess it's also not strictly true too. So like, take Simic Nexus, for instance. The Simic Nexus deck has copies of Ooze in the sideboard, and Ooze is a way that that deck is trying to pivot its game plan around the interaction the opponent has going on. So, generally speaking, when you're sideboarding with combo decks, the thing you want to be considering is, am I making my deck too diluted so I can't execute my primary game plan? That's the thought that you want to be thinking. Like, am I sideboarding in a way that makes my primary game plan no longer functional? We actually played the Balance Eggs deck on stream yesterday, and you can find it on my YouTube channel, my website. It's titled KCY under Modern. Crackling Drake's an interesting idea. The fact that card draws a card is a big deal. This is the part where we get Spell Pierced or Dive Down and we just die, probably. I think I just have to start jamming Planeswalkers. Unfortunately, he's shy of killing Enigma Drake.
Nice to get out of the lab.
If they have a dive down here, we're probably just gonna get dumpstered. Wow, that worked. Okay. Huh. They paused long enough. Do they have an opt here? Or do they have a dive down and just didn't want to protect their thing? Because they might just be like, oh, they kill my thing, the Drake kills the Ral. Our lack of sweeper here feels real bad. They could also have a Spell Pierce, but just, like, want to be saving it for a Cleansing Nova, because they don't really know what we're doing. Well, let's find out. If they have a dive down, it's probably getting burned here. If this resolves, we could be getting ourselves into a position to win this game. Yeah, I think that's probably going to be all she wrote. Great, that's another Lava Coil. We're taking 8 here, possibly 9, 10, 11, 12, depending on how many cantrips they play this turn, but rip another Lava Coil, we could be good to go. Yikes. Yeah, without something like a Cleansing Nova, we're just done for here. Eh, let's take one shot at another Lava Coil. Alright, that's fine. The audio needs a kick anyways. These people are great. Buy their stuff. Can you put these towards the Black-White Aristocrats of your choice? Yes, Not So Wicked Twitch will do. Thank you for the support. Whoop. You get restarted here. We're going to play one more with Jeskai Phoenix, but we roll on to Blue-White Tempo. Thanks everyone for hanging out today. These people all so great. Buy their stuff. I think I'm happy with the list we're at. Let's dive into the next one. The card viewing extension is quite fantastic. Yay, Deckmaster. Yay, Deckmaster. I currently have 420 videos. Someone else said that earlier. Yeah, the card viewing extension is a third-party extension. It was made by someone who works at Twitch, actually, in their spare time. I run a application called Deckmaster on my computer, which then sends information about the cards that are drawn and played up to Twitch. There's no extension for Magic Online because there is no output log file that you can read from on Magic Online. There's no data feed. So there's an output log for Magic Arena that basically dumps every time I draw a card or play a spell or something changes on the board state into a text file. So I'm actually going to ditch Lava Coil here rather than trying to flip these Phoenixes back into play. And we're just going to start casting these Phoenixes. I'm going to play Rekindling out this turn because if you note my opponent's mana, they don't have double blue, which means Absorb is not currently available. So they're not likely to have a counterspell for this, though they could have Vraska's Contempt. Hey, Stu-Nami, thank you for the 2-month resub. I appreciate that. Thanks for keeping me in plate here. So, this is a matchup where so the last match that we played against the Drake's deck, we definitely had a controlling role. Whereas in this matchup against a dedicated control deck, we're definitely the aggressor and need to be pressuring them out of the game. Aldry, you were banned for not only being rude about the dialect in which I speak, but also for using the gay as an insult. It's 2019. Let's move past that. If you write me a couple paragraphs explaining why that's not okay to be doing, I'll unban you. Otherwise, have a good life. You can tell Magic's growing because there's been more bans like that recently. Okay, if they don't have a cast down here, the second Phoenix gets to get in and kill the Teferi. And if they do have a cast down, the Shock cleans it up as well.
No more games.
This is one of the reasons why I think most of your Shock deck should leave Shock in against Esper control. Not only does it kill Thief of Sanity when they inevitably bring that card in post board, but killing Teferi after it's been down-ticked a little bit is very valuable.
You're right on schedule.
Alright, do we have... Are you hungry for more bird, opponent? Are you hungry for more bird? Whoa.
Don't make another move. Let's skip to the good part.
I think we're entering garbage time here. It's pretty... When your opponent untaps with Teferi and has a grip full of cards, you're pretty unlikely to win. I think in a deck like Drake's especially, where you have access to things like Chart a Course or Radical Idea sometimes, you should leave in Lava Coil against the opponent's deck, just because if you draw it and it's dead, you could do something else with it instead. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and mission briefing here and flip my birds back. Have you heard about my birds? I said a bird. Bird's a word, I said a bird. Yertle the Turtle, thanks for checking in with that Prime support. I appreciate that. Hope you're having a good one wherever you're at. Thanks for keeping me employed here. Alright, sweet. I get to thin a land off the top of my deck. Get to target. Oh, I can target Op tier, can't I? That's sweet, because I don't really want to shock anything. It's worth noting, because I know the top card of my deck is what I want to draw, I'm going to Revitalize before I Opt here, because this way Opt potentially digs me deeper, like I don't want to draw a land. So by choosing to Opt second, I get a card deeper into my deck and find more cards that I actually might care about. How many of these do I send to Teferi? I think the answer is all of them, right? If I send 2 and they have 2 removal spells, I probably lose the game. I don't think... No, 0% to player unsettle. Esper often doesn't play that card, and we just can't afford to. I think I have to send all at Teferi, because I need to take Teferi off the table or I can't win. Like, literally can't win if Teferi hangs out, so... I think the upside of getting 3 damage on them is not worth the downside of losing the game if they have double removal. Puma D, thank you for the Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. Oh, that card is so aptly named when you're playing Arclight Phoenix. Card is so aptly named when you're playing Arclight Phoenix.
Let's slow this down.
All right, Teferi of my own, please. Teferi of my own, please. All right, we full on garbage time. Let's go to the next one. Revitalize is bad. Lava Coil's bad. Expansion Explosion's a card that I want. Maybe this isn't a Disdainful Stroke matchup. Like I said, I want to leave Shock in. I can cut Electrostatic Field. How do you feel about Stroke versus Ionize? How do we feel about Stroke versus Ionize? Stroke might be better just because it's more resource efficient. I could cut some Arclights. That's probably not unreasonable. This leaves me 6. It's probably fine. This is 7, 11, 13 threat. Yeah, let's go down to 2, because they're definitely leaving their cries in, right? Not that I can think of, Mazer Mouse. Pulling up post sideboard is common because it's easier to have a deck. It's easier to have a deck that's leaning on answers when you know which answers are ideal, right? And you know how you need to be mulliganing and what you're playing against. So when you're more informed, it pays to be more interactive usually. God bless you, Greg. We got you. Rekindling Phoenix is really good in this matchup. On the other hand, we're gonna miss our 3rd land drop and die. I don't like mulliganing against Thought Erasure. Listen, I'm gonna tell you the most real thing that you're ever gonna hear on a Magic stream. You will never lose because you mulligan to 5 if you always keep 7. Them's just the facts. Just factually correct, can't be wrong. If you always keep 7, you'll never lose because you mulliganed to 5. No gamble, no future. Who wants to cash in Mission Briefing as a draw 2, as a scry 2? I don't think I'm that desperate. Alright, good. Look into my 2-land keep and know that when I play this Niv-Mizzet on turn 6, I'm incredibly lucky. Look on and know. Oh, the pride cometh before the fall, chat. Yikes. We're gonna take one more turn. We're gonna give it one more chance. Shock them to assert dominance. Let them know what's up. Should have scried. Silly hogland. I would like the record to reflect. That we would have missed even if we scried. Let's play one. I'm gonna play one more. I want to try and end on a high note. Been going about 90 minutes, but I'm kind of digging what this deck is doing. I like mid-range Teferi decks more than anything, just because like Teferi's a sweet card, but I hate not being able to close. We showed that's the real thing. We showed the Multified who's boss. How do I time people out so quickly? Got that quick APM, fastest time out in the West. Thanks, Man Willer. Hope you're having a good one. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. That's true. After that last game, all of our cumulative variance is saved up here, so we're incredibly likely to win this game. See? Hit our second land, no problem. Cumulative variance at work, chat. Yikes! Yikes! I thought we were due to be lucky, chat. They told me we were due to be lucky. For the record, I think this keep was fine. I would like to be on record that I think this keep was actually better than the 2-land keep in the last game, just because we had opted a bunch of cantrips. But sometimes this is where the magic happens, okay? Maybe I was supposed to run the upkeep mission briefing there. Maybe I'm supposed to run the upkeep mission briefing there with the opt in my bin. Wow. Wow, that is incredibly rude. The BM absorb on the stumbling radical idea.
Hurry! I know my responsibility.
Thanks, Murphigator. I appreciate that. Thanks for dropping in today. Yikes! Yikes! This is where the magic happens. This is where bright and early. Keep it real. At least I have a sideboard plan, right? It's like easy in, easy out. At least we have a plan. Okay, let's sit down for a bit. Silly desk, I told you to go down. When do you tilt slot in Sphinx of Foresight? I really like Sphinx of Foresight. In fact, the blue-white tempo deck we're gonna play after this has 4 Sphinx of Foresight in it. That card's really sweet. Oh, I should add more decks to the stream title too. What do we have coming up? After blue-white tempo, we have Naya, Thran, Dinos, and Abzan Fall. That sounds great. It was really good, Marty. It was really good. 4-color skies is deck of the day. Not close. It was phenomenal. Prepare your wild cards. It was supposed to be. It was very good. I wanted you to be. Alright, yeah, I mean, we found our lands. I don't... This hand just doesn't do anything. As someone who hates mulliganing, that hand's just not keepable. Yeah, if you weren't here earlier and you missed the 4-color Skies deck, it's 10 out of 10 worth watching on YouTube. Which, I know I stream a lot, so people... It's tough for a lot of people to watch everything that I do. So if you're not familiar, every day, that's perfect. Every day when I'm done streaming, I get things posted to YouTube. I have a favorites video page on my website, so if you check that or bookmark that YouTube playlist for updates, you'll get a peek each day of whatever the best deck was that I played that day. So they didn't Thought Erasure me. I think that means I just chart a course. There aren't any meaningful 3-mana things that I really care about negating next turn. I think I bin Ral here, huh? It's either Ral or Negate. I think it's Ral. Notably, the lands they have in play do not cast Absorb. Could cast Disdainful Stroke, can't cast Brassicus Contempt yet. Getting this card in under Absorb is quite fantastic. Oh, look. The magic is happening in the other direction this game. That's quite fantastic. Whew. 2-mana divination busted. Every time I come back to resub, I imagine how much of a horrible salty Magic player I would be without this stream. Chaosu, thanks for the 10 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, I think we might ride this Rekindling Phoenix all the way down. Swing low, sweet chariot, come along to carry me home. Do do. This card, this shell, just like Rekindling Phoenix, like powering out your charter courses, is kind of awesome. Go. I could maybe opt for a land there on my turn, but I think I'd like to leave Ionize up here just in case they have, like, a Lyra, for instance. It would be real annoying. So really hoping I draw a land in my next 2 cards so I can Teferi plus and then still hold up Ionize. Welcome to the garbage time. The best way you can define casual magic is magic in which you genuinely don't want your opponent to mulligan to 4 and have no land. That's actually a great way to think about it. Do I want my opponent to actually play a game versus just stumble and die? The final 4-color Skies list is whatever the last edited one was. That seems reasonable. It needs a second red source, but like it's got decent spells in it. It's gonna draw some stuff. You underestimate how much my kitchen table friends want to win. Modian, thank you for the 2 months. Like this to quit popping up. Yeah, send it through. Let us know. Thanks for keeping me around. I appreciate it. Well, thanks for dropping in, Monster Man. Hope you're having a good one wherever you're at. Thanks for dropping by. So this is actually kind of a fun mind game. I'm gonna shock in the Hallowed Fountain here because I want to opt plus Stroke. And by shocking here, I make my opponent think I have something like Ionize when I don't, when I really have Disdainful Stroke. Mission briefing. I think I'm in for that. I don't think I quite want a radical idea yet either. They missed a land drop, right? Do I Do I just jam Rekindling Phoenix into Absorb because I can jam Rail Zarek into Absorb next turn? Just like the mono make them have it? I think I'm on that plan. I think I'm on the make you have it turn. Coffee. Thank you for the tier 1 sub. Welcome. Thanks for keeping me employed here. This feels a little bit bad. Although I didn't really have an option to play around this. Perfect. Thran Dino waiting room. Blue-white tempo's got Dovin in it. I love me some Dovin. This is, so like, they've played 2 Thought Erasures, so Niv-Mizzet is likely safe in my hand. The question is, like, do I want to, I don't think, the problem with jamming Niv here is they could kill him and then untap and play Teferi and then I lose the game. So I think if they were still on 3 lands here, I would jam Niv-Mizzet, but the fact that they could kill Niv and then play Teferi means it's not a worthwhile risk. I've been very impressed with Dovin and all the small creature decks we've played him in. He definitely leaves a lot to be desired in control decks, but in decks that can consistently trigger his +1, I've been very happy with him. Have a mission briefing radical idea to flex. You kids and your flexing. Wonderful. Wonderful. This is probably gonna get absorbed. It's fine. Still get to hold stroke up here, so that's reasonable. Wouldn't have complained if that resolved, just because, like, Chart a Course would have drawn 2 cards then instead of discarding 1. That's a yikes. Oh. If I didn't draw Phoenix here, I think I probably would have just jammed the Niv just because Search for Azcanta puts the onus on me to act. It's like, hey, they're going to generate card advantage every turn, so you need to do something. So they could play a land here and then have, like, Teferi plus an Absorb. Even if they don't play a land, they have Teferi plus Negate. Worth noting that Stroke counters Vraska's Contempt here, which is very nice. Yeah, Search is very powerful in any games that aren't just ending very quickly. Just the fact that it's difficult to interact with is such a huge deal, right? Like, there aren't a ton of things that, like, take lands on a play. Well then, I guess I pass. I don't want to expose the Phoenix to a Contempt or, like, not have Stroke up for Teferi next turn. I think Sorcerer's Spyglass is kind of underplayed. Field of Rune's a tough nut to, like, say people should be playing just because it's tough to say people should be playing that as a card just because mana bases, there's such strict mana requirements. Losing Niv-Mizzet here feels real bad. I play, like, 1 Legacy or Modern League every morning to start the day, assuming Magic Online is up. So this morning we didn't play a League to start because Moto was down. Yeah, I agree. Spyglass is an underplayed card right now. I'm just jamming this. We're pretty dead at this point. I think I just need that to stick so I can get card advantage going. Unfortunate in there. Yeah, basically into the end of it. Once they dealt with my Niv, and like I needed to get Teferi going to like have anything going on, they're just burying us with the Azcanta, so I just don't have time to wait there. This deck felt kind of okay overall. My takeaway, you know, not even just thinking about the specific deck list so much, but as like kind of what we were doing as a whole. I wonder if just like a Jeskai Flyers deck is a better place to be than this Arclight Electrostatic Field package. Like, part of me wants to... Rekindling Phoenix was great, but like, Field was a little medium, Arclight Phoenix was kind of whatever, Radical Idea was kind of whatever. I kind of just want to try like a more Drake's configuration with Revitalize and Teferi. And you could even play cards like Deafening Clarion in the main deck with something like this if you wanted. Or more counterspells or Lava Coils or something like that. Yeah, I think you get closer to a Jeskai control deck, but it's a Jeskai control deck that has a proactive slam to it. Yeah, you could just be like big beefy flying creatures. Like Terramander could maybe fit as well. I don't know. I kind of just like having these ones so like you don't have on shocks. Yeah, Adrian's played something close to this as well. I agree. And like if you're trimming Radical Idea, maybe you add another land or two as well. But basically Charter Course was really impressive, and like these evasive creatures are really good. So maybe doing something like this is maybe the direction I would want to pull in, as opposed to trying to pull in the direction of Arclight Phoenix. All right, what do we do next? Blue-white tempo. On the way. Are there any decks in any format right now that I legitimately dislike? Yeah, there's a lot of them. I generally just don't take those decks to be played. Oh, deleted the wrong thing. I don't know why I did that. At least that was the deck we already played, so I don't have to go find it again. What's a marquee example of a deck I